Hello and good evening to everyone out there. I'm Ryan, and tonight we're going to be talking about the Make Magic Happen course that I've put together and how it'll hopefully help you get a better plan, get a better idea, and more focus about your goals and your process and your plan to make magic happen this year. So tonight, this is the official kickoff, the launch of the course, and I'm going to go over some of the stuff in the course. I'm going to go over some of my own experience going through this goal setting process last year, the pros and cons, the wins and the losses, and what happened. So Make Magic Happen came about last year, and in my work here with the tips and tricks for magicians and the blogging and creating videos, I was thinking about what I could do to really make an impact with the magicians that are watching my videos or reading my blog. And I am absolutely not the guy who's going to tell you to go buy a new magic trick to improve your show or to go get the latest trick. Honestly, I'm just almost against that. I'm almost anti-magic shop in a lot of ways. I feel like the way you're going to improve as a magician is not something you can buy. It's something you have to work at and something you got to put some thought into. You can't buy either of those things. So the Make Magic Happen program and the course, the process, was something I put together. It's nothing I created. It's a lot of ideas picked from here and there, but it's a process I put together and I'm teaching because I think this is going to be the thing that could make the biggest impact in your magic, in your life, in your career, in your art, however you choose to participate in magic. I've been in magic now, I think about 20 years or so. Started when I was 13 years old. Is the math right on that? Yeah. Yeah, it's over 20 years now. I look back on those 20 years and that's a lot of years, and I think, maybe I could have done more. Maybe if I'd been more focused, if I'd been more diligent, I could have done more. You can't automate the process of creating art. And magic hopefully is an art for you and something, a passion you pursue. So I don't think it's the sort of thing that you can say, oh, I should have done this in the time I've been doing it. I don't think that's fair to you to judge yourself against some invisible standard. So this is not to say that you haven't been doing it or you've been failing because you haven't reached some goal. It's not about that. It's about getting into your own head, and instead of just it all being in your imagination, getting it down on paper. There's a lot of worksheets that I'll talk about in a moment. And getting it set in a way that it's not just a dream, it becomes a goal. And a goal becomes an action plan, and an action plan becomes right down to day by day the steps you can take to make progress on this. So, the course itself, mostly if you're watching this, you've already registered. There may be a few stragglers who haven't registered yet. Oh, I see JR's checking in. Hi, JR. Thanks for coming in. So there's a couple things you need to know about the course, the technical course itself. I created this course last year, for the 2019 year. And it was all new. I was creating the course as I was presenting it. This year, the course is done. So you now have access to the whole thing already. It was intended to be a 4-week course over the course of the month of January, start to finish January, going through these step-by-steps. All these steps are designed to, you need to give them space. You need to think about them and kind of ponder on them. Because the worst thing you can do is jump in and rush into a goal, and then 3 months from now you're like, I don't really care about that goal. Because that's not helpful to you. It's not helpful to your progress. Even though you have access to the entire course, don't rush. Take your time. Pace yourself and give yourself time to reflect. What you can expect in this course is 3 phases. The first phase is basically about getting out of your head and getting the mess of ideas a little more organized and a little more focused. And it's basically about figuring out which goals you want to pursue. You're probably like me, creative, oriented. We're all over the map, right? We have 100 ideas in our head at any moment, and we're chasing 20 of them. And as a result, it's we don't make a lot of progress. I read the book Essentialism. I talk about this in the course. And the idea that's summed up in that book, Essentialism, is if you were trying to move in 10 directions, you only have enough energy to go, this far in each direction. You can only just kind of zip over here, but then you have to go back. And you don't get very far from where you start. But instead of going in 10 directions, if you just try and go in one direction and put all your energy into one direction, you're going to make a lot more progress. So that's the basic idea of phase 1, is to focus in on the actual goals that you want to chase. And it's hard, but I strongly encourage, I may not always walk the walk on this, but I strongly encourage for your main targets, 1, 2, 3 at most. That's my suggestion. And I'll talk about that when I get to my report on last year as well. So phase 1, you write down everything that's in your head, and then you focus down, you choose what to eliminate and what is left over as the primary, the heartfelt, sincere goals that you want to chase. Phase 2 is turning these loosey-goosey goals into, you may have heard the term, where's my sheet here, SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T. That how it's, yeah, okay, I know how to spell SMART. SMART goals is taking kind of a generic idea of a goal and turning it into something that you can actually take action on. So it's 5 different aspects of a goal that you kind of drill down into to define. And if it can be defined, it becomes a clearer picture. And it's like if you're trying to shoot arrows and you're not wearing your glasses and your target is a blur, this is going to help get the prescription on your goals so you can see where you're aiming and where you're trying to hit. So the process, phase 2, is to focus in and create real, meaty goals that you can bite into and chew. And there could be gluten-free and vegan if you want. That's fine too. And then phase 3 of the program is taking these goals that you've specified and turning it into an action plan. That means actually getting out your calendar, setting a date to things, and milestones along the way. Because if you have, I don't know, some big goal. I'm trying to think of a metaphor, but you have an elephant to paint. You have to paint an elephant. But you only have a tiny brush, right? Just a fine little tip brush, and you have to paint an elephant. And you've been given a year to do this. If you procrastinate and wait and all this stuff until day 363, you're not going to get that elephant painted with that little brush. But if every day you go and do a few strokes and a square inch and all that stuff, that huge task is broken down into very easy and manageable tasks. The first worksheet that you'll get in the course, and these are all downloads, in each lesson it has the downloads for the worksheets. First worksheet is going to be the SMART goals worksheet, where you take a goal and you break it down into the chunks. The second worksheet looks similar, and I call it the heart of your goals. It is a separate lesson and a separate worksheet you can download, where you take that goal you just created and you want to make sure that that goal lights a fire in you. It is going to get you motivated. So you have to understand why you're doing this. And as I was just going through this process the other day with my partner Caitlin, and she was really grilling me on this why on one of my goals, and this worksheet does the exact same thing. It asks you why you want to achieve this goal, and then it asks why that why. And then it asks, why that why? So you go deeper and deeper to kind of uncover And I know it sounds silly, but truly the things that we tell ourselves are not always the truth. I don't know if that's a revelation. So you need to sometimes question your motives and determine what's truly motivating. And if there is no true motivation, you will struggle, I think, to hit that target and reach that goal. Graham Mazing's quoting the great Zig Ziglar. He says, a goal is a dream with a deadline. That's right. This is so much about taking these dreams and turning them into a real, hard, physical representation of that. So, it is work. It's not a lot of work. It's not a huge amount of work. I figure each lesson takes maybe 30 minutes of focused time. So there's, I don't know, 8 lessons? I don't even remember. It's not a lot of time over the course of a month. But I think if you have all this stuff in place, it will make an impact on your year. Which brings me to the second thing I wanted to talk about. How did I do last year? I created this course, and I was really happy with how it all came out, and it's virtually untouched. The course from last year and this year, I was really pleased with how it all worked out. But I was also a student of the course as well as the creator. So I created my goals, and I came up with three goals last year, and they're actually mentioned in the course. You can get into the details. I'll just briefly share them here. I had the first goal. This is my SMART breakdown here. The overall goal. I'm going to present 2 to 4 self-produced shows starting in March and ramping up through the year to earn an income from magic and improve my performance skills. I will do this with daily outreach to make connections. So basically doing self-produced shows, something I've done in the past, doing it more intensely. That was my goal for last year. The other goal is develop a show repertoire that feels like it reflects 100% of my skill and effort. I'm going to take daily practice and work to create the magic I can be proud of, and present a finished show before the end of the year, shooting video that I will be proud to show, and it will open up more opportunities. That was goal number 2. And goal number 3 is actually, you're involved in this goal, is this tips and tricks for magicians website and process. And I wanted to build my reputation as a magic teacher and grow my email newsletter list and begin to launch training courses. Well, you're part of that goal as well. And I went into the heart. I won't go into all of them here, but this is one that was really important to me. So the developing a magic repertoire that I was really proud of. So I'll just get into some of the things I wrote down about the heart of my goals. So my why. Why is this goal important to me? I want to have a show and repertoire that I'm sincerely proud of and excited to share with people. I'm very humble, modest. I'm the humblest guy I know. But I'm not an outgoing person or performer. I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna, come over and watch this. I'm not that kind of guy. And part of that is because I'm always thinking, I could do better with my magic. And so this goal was really trying to address that issue that I had. So why your why? Looking at the reason you wrote above, why is that motivating you? Dig deeper. So I wrote down, I hesitate and hold myself back with feelings that I could do better. Why that why? So why is that important to you? I want to impress people and be better than they expected. I pride myself on my creativity, and thus it is my best way to stand out and feel noticed. And that's, that's the human condition, right? That's getting down to a pretty root, fundamental thing about people. We want to feel noticed and appreciated for what we can do. And this didn't just come out. I wasn't able to just write this out. It did take a bit of thought and a bit of questioning and kind of poking myself to kind of get to that. It's not going to be the first answer you come up with for your goals. But anyway, I don't want to get too into this because the course will do that for you. But I wanted to share the result. Here we are a year later. These are my 3 big goals for last year. One of them was a complete, I wouldn't say bomb, but I bailed on it. One of them I bailed on them. The second one, I think I knocked it out of the park and I hit it 100%. And the third one, progress, but maybe not, I didn't reach the measurable goal that I'd set. So the one that I bailed on was this one about doing all the self-produced shows. So this was kind of the result of life changing around me. I just moved last year, I just moved last year to Ottawa from Calgary, across Canada, basically. And my whole life was different. Didn't know anybody here, didn't have any business here. So I was basically looking at establishing a brand new business as a performing magician. Which is all fine, except for one thing. I think the reason I failed on this was it was expecting something of myself that was unfair. And this is one of the things I wanted to add tonight that's not part of the course. We tend to judge ourselves as magicians, especially as creative people, against other creative people and against other magicians. And we look at what they're doing and we think, I want to do that too. I can do that. And so I've been learning self-produced shows, and I've run magic festivals, and I've produced events before. But there's one part of it that's really goes against my natural grain. And that is essentially hustling, as they call it. It's getting out, on the streets, selling myself to people. That is just so, really struggle with that. And it's just something, for years, as a self-employed person and freelancer, I've always struggled with this. It's been going on decades. And looking back now, it was unfair of myself to push that on me and say, oh, this year I'm going to just fix that habit, right? And this year it's just going to be no problem. That's going to be the thing I do. And so I kind of assumed for a second I could be somebody else when I pursued this goal. So life happened around me and I didn't work on it because it's just there's so much just internal resistance to the whole process. And the lesson I learned, or am in the process of learning, as I set my goals this year, I've focused a lot more on leaning in to who I am and my natural strengths and the things I can do just at the drop of a hat, which is creating, essentially. Creating products and creating courses and creating written books and that stuff I absolutely love doing. I can sit down at a computer for the 3 days and just create something that didn't exist. So as I set my goals this year, I'm relying a lot more on what I'm good at and creating workarounds for what I'm not good at, and relying on other people to support my work with their strengths and together hopefully get a little further. So instead of trying to do it all myself and push myself to do things that are just against my natural tendencies, I'm setting goals that are aligned with myself. And I'm saying this to encourage you to think this same way. It's so easy to set a goal and say, I'm going to go to the gym every day. at this time of year, a lot of people say that. But if you've never gone to the gym in the last 5 years, it's probably not going to happen. And I don't mean to discourage whatever you want to do, but you need to set goals that are authentic to yourself and sincere to your being. And don't try and be somebody else. Don't try and set somebody else's goals. You got to set the goals that are for you, designed for you, by you, and allow yourself the opportunity to succeed in that pursuit. Set the goals and create a process, and as you create all these things that just are a huge pile of work, that it's going to be the whole year working and struggling on this goal, you want to make sure that process of working on that is firing your passion. Because I don't know about you, but I don't work very well if it's just painful for a year and someday it's going to be okay. I'm not good at working like that. Maybe some people are. Some people get motivated by that kind of thing. I don't. I'm motivated by the joy of the process. So I need to make sure that everything I do is in line with that. Not to say things aren't going to be hard some days, that you're going to fail some days, a lot of days. But just be true to yourself in this process. Okay. Graham's asking, when we're done, is there a printout of a gold star? That's a fantastic idea. Yeah. I'll make up a gold star participation certificate that everyone can print out at the end. Thank you for that idea. Oh yeah, so the last worksheet I didn't get to yet is I call Your Amazing Year Begins with a Focused Day. So this is that phase 3 of the program, when we start to take these goals and break them down into day-by-day action plans. And this, it's not much, but this is a deal breaker in my experience over the last year. Don't overlook this, is what I'm trying to say. It's just like painting the elephant. Day by day, stroke by stroke, is how you're going to get this stuff done. I realized I skipped the second half of the story about how I did last year. I got wrapped up in my one I didn't get. I didn't get to tell you the good part. The good part was this one. Develop a performing repertoire that feels like 100% of my ability and effort. Create the show, do the show, and commit it to video. And I'm thrilled to say, yeah, I did that one. I created an almost entirely new show for the Ottawa Fringe Festival called The Suitcase of Wonders. Not the first time I've used that title or done that show, but it was totally overhauled, top to bottom. Half of it was, no, 3/4 of it was brand new first-time material. And I got to do it at the festival, 6 shows in the course of a week, and it's an hour-long show. I recorded every single show on video, so I can look from the first day to the last day, the huge improvement of that whole show. And at the end of the show, I have a video that I've never been able to say this before, but I have a video of a complete show, unedited, uncut, that I'm willing to show people. I've never been able to say that before. I've always felt like, well, that's not really showing me in a very good light, or it's not, I could do better. Just as my sheet said a year ago, I put that together in such a way that I'm happy to share it. And if somebody really wants to watch my whole show, you can send me an email and I'll hook you up with the link. Okay? I'm happy to share it. I'm proud to share it. So on that goal, knocked it out of the park. All right. And then goal number 3, which was the about building up this magic tips and tricks and doing courses and things. That was the middle. I made progress and have created this course and did a lot of blog posts and videos that I'm really proud of, and especially this. Oh, I set this aside. The Shuffle Prophecy, which I just sent out as kind of my Christmas gift to all the magicians. Got really great feedback, and I'm so proud of creating this. And I'm happy with the progress made, but it didn't actually hit the measurable. That's part of SMART. The M in SMART is measurable, which you put numbers to things and make a defined target. I didn't actually hit my measured target. I'm about little over half of my measured target, so in terms of that, it wasn't that great, but I'm still happy with the progress I made, and thank you for being a part of it. Appreciate that. So that is my report from last year. One good, one bad, one okay. So you might say, hey, who's this guy? Can't even do his own goals, yet he's here talking about mine. So a big part of this course is built on the idea of failure. And I think that's such an important thing to accept and acknowledge in this process. Because actually, I don't know if anyone knows Gary Vee. He puts out videos all day long on his social media about building a business and basically putting yourself out there and creating content. And he was on just the other day talking about failure and how if you just hurry up and fail, get over yourself, and start from terrible, you're going to be moving faster. If you hesitate about worrying about failing and worrying about looking silly in front of your people watching, as if anyone's even watching what you do, you're going to be super hesitant to try anything. So he and I totally agree with this idea. Just fail as much as you can, as fast as you can. And I think that's something I definitely need to improve and work on and fail harder at my goals this year. Make more progress faster. And failing is a lesson, and talking about limitations is a lesson in the course as well. I don't need to go into all that because it's literally done. The course is done. You can go and skip ahead if you want to. I don't recommend it, but it's all there. You can go through. The course is definitely designed to be done step by step. It builds upon what the previous lesson talked about. So at this point, moving forward, here's what I would recommend. Take your time with this. It was originally designed to be that whole month. So start by writing things down. You cannot do this course without actually doing the homework, without actually putting pen to paper. It won't work if it's just in your head, because if it's not defined, it doesn't get scheduled, and it's a bit of a trickle down effect, and it gets smaller and smaller. So you start with the dream, and the dream fades away if it doesn't get written down as a goal, and the goal is fuzzy if it's not well defined with the SMART process. And the SMART process doesn't matter if you don't have the heart behind it. And all this stuff doesn't happen unless you plan and put it on the calendar and you schedule it. And all that doesn't happen if you don't do your schedule every day. So it all trickles down to truly the day-by-day process. Some of you might be setting goals that are huge, big goals, career goals, and it's going to take a lot of work, hours every day, to make progress. Other people are in this program, and if they're focusing on magic, it's just a hobby, just do it for fun. So they might have project goals. They want to learn a new coin routine. Well, that's not going to take hours every day. But if you practice 15 minutes a day, it's a lot better, a lot healthier, a lot more progressive than practicing 3 hours every week and a half. So whether it's a huge goal, it's going to take a lot of time, or just a little goal, it's going to take 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, I think it's so important to work on that day to day. And I'm saying this as a complete fraud, because I am so bad about getting distracted and not doing the day-to-day work. I tend to work, focus, everything else gets pushed aside. So I need to make sure that I'm not letting things slip. Last year, one of my little side projects, I wanted to learn French, having moved to Ottawa. It's a bilingual town. And I thought, okay, I'll just do French lessons for 10 minutes every day. And I put it on my calendar as a recurring thing every day. It said, French lesson at 11 a.m., 10 minutes. No. So I still my français est très malade at this point. So again, I said this earlier, don't underestimate the day-to-day. At this point, you'll go through the course. Check it out. It's all there for you. At the end of it, there you'll find links to a Facebook group that can help you find a community of people. Me, others, everyone will be there. Maybe half the people, some people will be there. You can talk about it. And if you're willing, you can share your goals there. You'll be able to find people to help, partners, to work on accountability and keep your feet held to the fire. And if you need any questions or support, use that Facebook group to all year long if you'd like. Not just while you're working on the goals themselves or the goal setting, but as you're working on the goals themselves, you can use that group for whatever you need. Support, trying to work on this together and make magic happen in 2020. It sounds like a great place to end this video.